All right. Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for being here. So this is Nail Your Nutrition in Midlife. Super duper excited to be here. This is a topic I have been teaching and training on for a long time, really long time. My oldest was in my belly when I first did my first food prep demo. Here we are 21 years later, and I'm still just as passionate and excited about it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and if you guys could just let me know, you should see Nail Your Nutrition in Midlife. But I lost you guys. Where did you guys go? Oh, there you are. Okay, we're good. Yes, you can see me, you can hear me, you can see my screen. Awesome. Thanks, Martha. All righty, we are going to just jump right in. Okay, so today you're going to learn a simple food prep system that is going to help you stay consistent without having to rely on willpower. That is probably the number one thing that I hear from clients day in and day out is, oh, I just don't have enough willpower. I just need more discipline. And I promise you that is not the problem. So today and tomorrow is a live 2-day workshop for women over 40 who want to learn a simple food prep strategy in order to take the stress out of healthy eating so that you can stop relying on willpower and start setting yourself up for success at every meal, even if you don't like to cook. Does that sound good, you guys? Can I get some thumbs up? Okay, I'm seeing some nods. Awesome. And welcome to those of you who just jumped in. I'm glad you're here. Okay, if you are new to my world, I'm Joan, and I'm a midlife health and wellness coach. And I really am so passionate about fitness and nutrition, specifically for women over 40. But the thing that really gets me excited is helping you, women in midlife, to create habits, sustainable change. So not just a quick fix, but something that's actually going to help shape the trajectory of the rest of your life. So a couple pictures here. I've got my family. I've got 3 girls. 2 are in college. I've got 2 home for the summer. 1 who's in high school. She'll be a senior next year. And then my favorite child, just kidding, is my dog. And just a couple things that I wanted to highlight that are different from what I'm talking about today. I do have a podcast, and I also teach live fitness classes here on Zoom. And if those are things you'd love to learn about as well, I'd be happy to share that with you. And if we are not already connected on Instagram or Facebook, there are my usernames. So basically what I want to tell you is that I have been where you are if nutrition feels tricky, difficult, more stressful than it should be, or just not easy. And admittedly, it was a long time ago that I was in that same spot, but I built a system that really works for me, and I've taught hundreds of women, and I'm excited to teach you guys tonight. So I have done decades of what I call food prep demos in my kitchen. And that would be where I would invite women over, typically as many women as could fit around my kitchen island, and I would just teach them. And it was like drinking from a fire hose. So if you've not listened to my episode on my podcast from last week, I tell the whole story, a couple decades of my history with food prep and how it became something that I actually added as a service in my business, because what it started out with was people coming to my house and just being like, I want to try some food. And then they would eat all my food. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't sustainable for me. So I thought I would do it in a way that was an actual event. You would come, you would sit at my kitchen, we would spend 2 hours together. But every single time people would leave, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that was so much information. I can't possibly retain it. And so they would take 1 or 2 little things away from it and adopt that. So I'm super excited to bring this in a virtual platform for you guys tonight and really break it all the way down into this strategy that hopefully you'll be able to take with you and implement immediately into your own life. Okay, so how this training works. We will be live tonight and tomorrow night, so that's 5 p.m. Pacific, so note the time zone if we're different. Feel free to have your camera on or off. It's totally your choice. You can feel free to drop questions in the chat, and I'll check the chat as we go. But after this training tonight and tomorrow night, I will unmute, and we can go back and forth Q&A as long as we need to. Replays will be made available each day. I'll email them out right after the recording. And then I'm just going to give you permission here to take notes, because the goal is not more information, it's more implementation. And so I can tell you until the cows come home, we don't need more recipes, ideas, structured meal, plans, eat this, eat that. What we need is to implement a few things that actually we enjoy so that they can become part of not just what we do, quote unquote, when we're being good or on a program or following a diet, but what we can do sustainably forever so it becomes part of who we are and how we eat. Okay, can I get another check-in? We're good. Nods and thumbs. Okay, awesome. Okay, so day one, today is really the foundation. So today is simple, sustainable nutrition, why willpower and motivation keep letting you down and will keep letting you down, the difference between meal prep and food prep, and then my prep method in a formula for building meals without tracking or obsessing. And then tomorrow, I'm super excited for this, will be a live food prep with me in my kitchen. So you'll learn how to take simple ingredients and turn them into multiple meals for your week. Learning how to batch prep, mix and match, and store food so it actually gets eaten. And you'll see how healthy eating can actually be an easy button so that you can finally nail your nutrition. Okie doke. So I'd love to know, does this sound familiar? Nods and thumbs. You start the week strong, but you find yourself losing focus or momentum by midweek. So you're struggling to maintain your nutrition goals as life gets busy and other priorities take over. I know that this is one. Okay. Number two, opening the fridge and just feeling overwhelmed because you've got food there, but nothing is appealing or nothing is ready to go. And so you just revert to either unhealthy options or just not the best options. And then finally, despite knowing what to eat, your energy and your willpower dwindle by late afternoon. And so if you are not prepared, you are grabbing unplanned snacks or you're skipping meals altogether. And it's easy to feel guilty about this pattern because you haven't got it figured out already. Does this resonate? I'm guessing yes, and I'm seeing some chat stuff too. I'm going to pull my chat up so I can see. This is literally me right now. I love that. Thank you for being vulnerable. So you know what to eat. That is not the problem. But why doesn't it stick consistently? I know some reasons, and I would love to hear in the chat if there are other reasons that I'm not listing here, because for the reason why it's not sticking consistently. You're busy, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're bored of eating the same foods, and you're feeling guilty because you should have had this handled years ago. I'm guessing there are a few other things that I don't have there. So if you have other things that you're like really struggling with that keep you from eating healthy consistently, feel free to drop them in the chat. This is not a knowledge problem. This is just a setup problem. So you can let go of the guilt and the shame because it's not something that you inherently are doing wrong. It's just that you've never been taught the system that is going to help you take the stress and the guilt away from this part of your life. I realize I just basically already said this stuff, but you start the week strong, you fall off by Wednesday. Yes. You open the fridge, feel like there's nothing to eat. Yes. You skip meals, you piece things together, or you wait too long. And when you wait too long, your hangry takes over and it's just like whatever's in front of you, whatever's easiest is going in the mouth because it's a biology problem. Our body needs food. Like we need it to survive. And so oftentimes if we wait too long, we don't have a plan, we're making poor choices because poor choices are the easier choices often. And at the end of the day, you feel like you've let yourself down. Okay, so you have a lot on your plate. And again, I'm sure I've left a few things off of these bullet point list, but you've got work, you've got family, relationships, health, keeping it all together. Dinner, if I could guess, dinner usually gets handled because that is about other people. You're handling that for your family or your partner. But I want to know, for you particularly, are you thinking ahead for your breakfast, your lunch, and your snacks throughout the day? Those are the meals that belong to you specifically. And typically, they're the ones that are getting skipped altogether, or they're just an afterthought. I would love to see in the chat if that resonates with you too. I often ask clients, okay, tell me about your nutrition. They immediately jump to dinner because they can tell you what's for dinner tonight, tomorrow night, and probably the next night too, because they've thought it out intentionally for other people. But if I'm like, what did you have for breakfast yesterday? Oh gosh, I don't know. I got the kids out the door. I rushed out to work and I maybe grabbed a latte at the coffee bar, so it's just kind of an afterthought. Oh yeah, blowing it. Yep, Jan, totally. You blew it already, so you might as well just, the rest of the day is gone, right? We might as well just wait till tomorrow and start over. Motivation and willpower are not dependable, especially in midlife. If you look at, again, there are probably things I left off of this list, but the reasons why motivation and willpower are not reliable is because those are feelings, and feelings are fleeting. They don't stick around. We can't rely on them. We can't depend on them. But part of the reason is this is a tricky stage of life. We are sleep deprived because hormones gone wild. We have decision fatigue because family obligations. We have a lot of stress. We have exhaustion. All of that leads to having cravings. And then that leads to guilt and shame spirals. Like it's just this big whirlwind of emotions. And it ties back then to us feeling frustrated about our nutrition and feeling like we just can't get it. We can't get a sustainable, healthy habit pattern going on in our lives. So what works instead is a system that runs even when motivation doesn't show up. Okay, the key is preparation. When your food is already handled, everything else in your day gets easier. So you wake up knowing that breakfast is ready, and you can get through a crazy day without falling apart nutritionally. And when you open the fridge, you feel this sense of calm and empowerment versus that feeling of overwhelmation. That's my daughter's made up word, but we use it all the time because it's just, it hits. And when your nutrition is handled ahead of time, then you stop relying on willpower because you just don't need it. Preparation is also how you build self-trust with yourself 1 week at a time, 1 meal at a time, setting your future self up for success. Okay, I want to share the difference between meal prep and food prep. And I will just go ahead and tell you guys, I think I might have made this up. So this is just me and my brain and my experience and my expertise from years and years and years of coaching and teaching this particular topic specifically with women, and now specifically with women in midlife. Okay, meal prep, in my opinion, looks like this picture here. It is full recipes cooked in advance, typically dinner. Sometimes it could be lunch, but it requires hours and hours of cooking time in the kitchen. Typically, it's complicated ingredients, lots of shopping for ingredients at multiple different stores, having the same meals portioned out maybe 5 days in a row. And typically, this is designed for, again, dinner, so it's something that you're thinking about feeding other people, not just yourself. To me, this is like super overwhelming. I would love to hear if that resonates with you too. Does this feel like, I don't want to do that? That is not how I want to spend my time. Again, I mentioned in my podcast last week, I don't actually like to cook. So this is not like a fun pastime for me. This is just a necessity because I am not willing to go hungry. That's like such an uncomfortable feeling. And I'm not willing to microwave a meal or eat out every meal. So for me, food prep is just like a way of life. But to me, food prep is very different than meal prep, and I will explain in just a moment. Okay, so food prep. And then when you look at that image, isn't that just like so much less overwhelming? So the way that I teach it, food prep is having components and ingredients ready to go and not necessarily full meals. And we're focusing on breakfast, lunch, and snacks, the meals that belong specifically to you. Food prep is flexible to your week, your schedule, your capacity, and your energy. So some weeks it might look like making a big batch of chili. So that's a full meal, right? And then maybe you have that for a few lunches. But some weeks it might be you don't have any time to cook. You grab a rotisserie chicken and a bag of salad, and that counts as food prep. Even throwing a protein bar in your purse before you leave the house counts. Because the whole concept here is thinking about being intentional, spending some time setting your future self up for success. This, in my opinion, is way more empowering, less overwhelming than the whole concept of meal prep. Food prep is not about doing everything. It's just about doing something to set yourself up for success. I like to think of it as meal prep. If I'm cooking chili, we're probably having that for dinner for the whole family, and then I might eat it for the next few days for lunches. But that's about all as far as meal prep goes for me. For me, food prep is about setting my future self up for success. I have breakfast ready to go, lunch ready to go, snacks ready to go, and I'll probably make that dinner for my family fresh at the time of the meal. All right, I'd love to know if this is making sense. You guys are following. Yes, Cynthia, I totally understand. Food prep gives you anxiety. Totally get it. Okay, here is the other really good news, is that prep doesn't have to mean cooking. There are so many options that are going to make our lives so much easier that we can lean on and really rely on when we have those days and those weeks and maybe even those seasons where we just don't have the energy or the capacity to spend hours and hours in the kitchen. Okay, so lean protein. So protein is pretty tricky. Most of the time you have to cook, right? So chicken, salmon, beef, whatever, like you're cooking eggs in order to make them ready to go. But there are some shortcuts, and that's what I'm here to tell you. I rely on a lot. So for me, prep is a combination of some cooking and then leaning on things that I don't have to cook, and then sort of mixing, matching, and that's my strategy. So as far as proteins go, you've got canned tuna, salmon packets, smoked salmon, rotisserie chicken, hard-boiled eggs, deli turkey, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein powder, pre-cooked lentils. And then as far as healthy fats, these don't typically require cooking, but it's good to keep an eye on all of these major things that we want to make sure we're incorporating into our diets. So avocado, nut butters, mixed nuts, seeds, olives, even cheese sticks. Veggies and fiber. Again, we don't have to spend hours and hours. So you grab a bag of baby carrots. Maybe you've got pre-washed salad greens. You've got some berries or some edamame, and those can be either dried or in the freezer. You've got a thing of sauerkraut that you can usually just spoon out on top of a meal if you don't have time to cook your veggies. There's so many options that are going to set you up for success so you don't have to spend hours and hours of your day in the kitchen cooking. Even carbs. We've got microwave rice or quinoa packets. You've got tortillas and wraps, oatmeal, whole grain crackers, rice cakes, granola, canned beans. There are so many options, again, that we can mix and match that are going to help make our lives a lot easier, but we can still eat healthy sustainably. Okay, I'm going to take a quick sip of my water. And maybe you guys do the same. Okay, so what if it could be simple? What if it didn't have to mean hours and hours in the kitchen? We do not, I'm telling you. We're so over following complicated recipes, tracking our nutrition, calculating our calories and our macronutrients. We're over all of it. We don't have to do that. We don't have to live in this all or nothing land, and we don't have to eat the same boring, bland food 5 days in a row. We just don't have to. So here is my method. And it's conveniently the acronym PREP for food prep. So P is preview your week. R is ready your breakfast. E, establish your building blocks. And then P, plate with intention. So when I do the email tonight to share the recording of this workshop, I will put the basics in there, but feel free to screenshot anything, feel free to take notes, or just listen, soak it in, and know that you're getting the replay of all of this. You can go back and listen later and let it really sink in. Okay, so preview your week. The whole idea here is to look ahead before you're hungry. I want you to think about nutrition before you're hungry. That is food prep right there in a nutshell. So before you cook a single thing, look at your actual week, your actual calendar, your work schedule, your kids' activities, your travel, your social plans, your workouts. Are you home-based or are you grab and go? Really look at the actual week ahead before you do anything. And think about, what does my actual week require of me first? Okay, and then the second thing we do, so P is pretty easy. Just have a plan. R is ready your breakfast. So I know it's a little confusing because I said meal prep was not full meals. For the breakfast specifically, I do want you to win the morning and really have a solid plan. It might not be a full meal ready to go in your fridge, but you know what you're having for breakfast, or you at least know what the components are that you're going to throw together in the morning to set yourself up for success. Because your mom was right. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. When we start our day with a protein-rich breakfast, it sets a positive tone for your nutrition for the rest of the day. You're getting your energy right first thing in the morning. It's helping you regulate your blood sugar. It's reducing that possibility for the spike and the crash. And then you're reducing your decision fatigue as well. If you have a healthy breakfast, you are much more likely to continue your healthy eating pattern throughout the day. So the goal is to decide your breakfast before you're hungry and you're rushed and you don't have time in the morning. If you don't have time in the morning, that means on Sunday or one of the days of the week, you're setting your breakfast up for success. So all you have to do is grab and go. Okay, so two different things here. So some people, and it really just depends on your lifestyle, some people need to have that breakfast ready to go. So it's overnight oats, it's in a container, you've got your spoon out on the counter, you grab your lunchbox, you put your thing in, and you go out the door. And that was your breakfast. For some people, or even for some mornings, say weekend versus weekday, when you have slower, more flexible mornings, you have time to make an omelet or oatmeal with protein or avocado toast. So it's really just about thinking ahead. What does your day and your week require? Having a plan, and then having the components, the ingredients on hand if you're going to be cooking fresh. Breakfast is so important. Okay. E, so P, preview your calendar. R, ready your breakfast. E is basically the meat, if you will, of the method here. So we're prepping components, not necessarily full meals. If you want to prep a full meal, obviously go for it, but it's easier, I think, to prep ingredients, components that you can then mix and match throughout the week to create the meal either at the time of your meal or when you're prepping your lunch ahead of time or your snacks or breakfast ahead of time. When we spend a couple of hours in the kitchen and we make several components, we are able to mix and match and create a full week or at least several days of meals. My strategy personally is I take a couple hours on Sunday to do some prep, and then I do it again on Wednesday. Usually Wednesday is just a midweek refresh. I'm not having to do everything, but either I ate it all or things that don't last as long. I'm doing a little bit of prep on Wednesday, but my big day is Sunday. And then often I'll have either things that are non-perishable or things that are in the freezer that can really help me so that I'm, again, keeping those hangries at bay, making sure that I have food ready to go for when I'm hungry. When you have your protein, your complex carbs, and your fiber ready to go, then you assemble them, you mix and match, and that is the strategy. Okay, so we're going to start with protein first because this is so important. I know you guys know this, but I'm just going to go over it quickly. Protein is the magic of this stage of our life. It is the magic pill that everybody wants to know. What is the magic? It's our muscles, it's our protein. So we have to eat the protein to give our body what it needs to be able to rebuild our bone and rebuild our muscles, to gain strength and to stop losing bone mass and muscle mass as we age. So the two things we can do are lift weights and prioritize protein, right? So we're going to start with protein. Every time we go to prep, we're thinking protein first. I want to refer back to my 4x4 fist method. I have a whole podcast episode on it. I can share more resources with you guys if you want, but the basics of it is by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, can you think back throughout your day and identify 4 servings of protein that were about a fist in size? If so, you're setting yourself up to most likely hit that number of 100 grams of protein in your day. Each fist is about 25 grams. Most of the time we're getting protein at dinner as well. So if you did that, you'd probably hit 125 grams of protein and you're golden. So this is why it's really, really important. Most women, especially women in midlife, without being intentional, we are not hitting our protein numbers. And it does feel like kind of a part-time job to get on top of that. So this is why it's really, really important. We start with the protein first. We already went over examples of protein, but you can see some photos here. The key is to find things that you like, that you can prep simply, and that you can just have on repeat. Maybe you've got salmon and chicken this week, maybe next week it's eggs and ground beef, and you just kind of cycle through the different proteins that you have, mixing and matching, and then keeping on hand protein powder and smoked salmon and canned tuna and yogurt and things that don't require a lot of prep so that you're always set up for success. After you've got your protein, then we move on to carbs and fiber and color and healthy fats. So again, for complex carbs, oatmeal, it takes a minute in the microwave. It's like so simple. These are a lot of the things we're going to go through tomorrow. Sweet potatoes, did you know you can rinse it, stick it in the microwave for 5 minutes? It's done. Like, we don't have to be spending hours and hours in the kitchen, I promise. Quinoa, did you know you can put quinoa in the rice cooker? Set it, forget it, it's done by dinner time, right? Fiber, colors, we can roast some veggies, we can chop some veggies, we can have, again, easy things like sauerkraut or hemp hearts. And then again, our healthy fats don't require much prep, but they are really important to keep on hand. Okay, so once we have gone through the P, the R, the E, Then it's up to us to plate with intention. And I want you to think about asking yourself 3 questions when it comes time to plate your meal. Number 1, when I open my fridge, is the healthy choice the easiest one to grab? Number 2, what's going to make this food taste good? And number 3, where will hunger find me this week? Will I be at home or will I be on the go? So the whole idea with Plate with Intention is to make the healthy food visible, make it taste good, and make it yours. Make it work for you and your lifestyle. Okay, so placement is when you open your fridge, you should be able to see clear containers so that you can see what's inside. You've got protein and veggies at eye level, front and center. And you've got your grab and go meals and snacks. Just all you got to do is reach in and grab it. That is such a gift to give your future self. The second thing is flavor, because boring food is not going to stick around as a lifestyle choice, I promise. So we've got to get creative and think about how can we add flavor and how can we mix and match different flavors throughout the week so we're not getting bored. Salsa is a great one, hummus and guacamole, pesto, vinaigrette dressings, different marinades, different seasoning blends for our proteins and our veggies. Hot sauce, I'm a total wimp when it comes to spicy, but I know a lot of people like hot sauce. That's a great way to flavor things. Tahini. So just really thinking about how can I flavor this? Because eating a bland, boring chicken breast and a plate of veggies is not something you're going to be able to do forever. But you can if you mix and match some different flavors. And then finally, are you on the go or are you home-based? So when you are home-based, let your fridge do the heavy lifting. So all you have to do at mealtime is grab the food, assemble it, and then eat it. But if you are on the go, and again, this goes back to that first P where you're really looking at your specific calendar for this week. If you're on the go, your containers are doing the heavy lifting for you. So you're packing the night before so that in the morning, when you know you're going to be busy and stressed, you open the fridge, you grab your containers, you stick it in your lunchbox, and you're out the door. And that day for lunch and snacks, you're like, oh, thank goodness, past self. I have regulated blood sugar and I'm so patient this morning and I'm not yelling at everybody in traffic, right? Because you have taken care of one of your basic needs, which is your nutrition. So you're picking either on the go or home based. Pick what fits your week and then just commit to it. Once it comes time to, once it's ready to prep. Okay. So once it comes time to prep, then all you have to do is just plate it. But I do have a formula for you that I think is going to help when you're thinking about like, okay, how do I actually make this plate? Like what all do I need to include here? So this is the mealtime formula. So we take our protein. We're always starting with protein. Then we build the rest of the plate around it. So you've got your protein, you add your complex carb, your healthy fat, your fiber and your color, and your flavor. And this is how, without tracking our macronutrients or calculating all of our, calories or protein grams or anything, we're just using the 4x4 fist method for a full day. And then each time we come together to a mealtime, we're thinking about protein first, and then adding the carbs, the fat, the fiber, the color, and the flavor. So we don't have to obsess, and we get to just enjoy real food that has been prepped with intention so that it can fuel your body. So instead of that question of like, oh, what should I eat for lunch? What should I eat for snack? You just ask yourself, what's already ready? Okay, so here is what this looks like, and this is what we'll be going over tomorrow. So number one, so this picture right here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but the first picture on the top line there, that's the grocery shopping. So you do the grocery shopping, right? Then you come home and you prep a few things. So here in my top left container, I have ground chicken with kale and salsa. Then next to that is a large sweet potato. Then on the bottom there, I have peppers, onions, and mushrooms. I have some shredded Brussels sprouts, and then I have ground beef and a little refried beans. Okay, so then along the bottom here, I took those prepped components, and these are the different meals that I made throughout my week with those prepped components. So this first one here, I took half of that sweet potato. I threw on some of the Brussels, and then instead of using one of my prepped proteins for this one, I chose cottage cheese, and then I topped that with sauerkraut and everything but the bagel seasoning. Delicious. Okay, the next one, I used a brown rice and quinoa pack. It takes 90 seconds in the microwave, so that is something I could do at the time of my meal. And then I topped that with my ground chicken and kale and salsa, and then I put healthy fat, which was the avocado, on top. Okay, that third one down there is another sweet potato, or the other half of the sweet potato with the ground beef, as well as a bunch of veggies and salsa and green onions and cilantro. So that was a different meal. Then I took my mushrooms and my peppers and my onions, and I made an omelet one day. And then that last meal there was mainly salad, a little bit of sweet potato. I think I did the beans and the beef, and then I put a little, some tortilla chips there on the side. So when you mix and match, say you have 2 proteins, say you have 3 veggies and 2 bases like sweet potato and quinoa, for example, when you mix and match that, you get at least 12 different combinations. So they're the same ingredients, but you're able to mix and match and customize what you feel like that day, what flavors you want. And that is how we're able to adopt this as a lifestyle and not get burnt out or bored of eating the same thing day in and day out. Okay, so tomorrow is the most exciting thing because I will be going live in my kitchen and doing an actual food prep session for you. So you guys will be here just like this on Zoom today, but you'll actually be able to see me go through the prep method, see how it comes to life, and watch how fast and simple this process is. And then there's something very exciting at the end of tomorrow that I'm really excited to share with you guys. Okay, we have about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my share and then open up for questions. I would love, love, love to hear from you guys. And I know I missed a few things in the chat. So feel free to unmute. I'm gonna move you guys back up here. Yay. Okay, any aha moments, any questions? Kathy, I see maybe you're trying to unmute. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, you guys.